Okay, we left off about 10 days ago. Things that are called Muktzeh machmas gufay, things that are Muktzeh just because they're Muktzeh. I mean, they're non-utensils, and if they're not considered utensils, then they're considered Muktzeh. So we're discussing the various different things: money, currency, sand, wood, unless if the things are designated before Shabbos, then we said it's not. Okay, so next is like this. Another aspect of Muktzeh, which is this type of Muktzeh, which is completely Muktzeh, you can't move it for any reason, it includes broken utensils. Now, if utensil breaks on Shabbos, and it's not usable anymore for the original usage, so then it's completely Muktzeh. That means technically if a glass breaks and you can't use it anymore, you're not allowed to move it at all. Halacha says if it's in a place where people might get hurt, let's say somebody breaks a glass on the floor and people might get hurt on it, or you leave it on the counter and somebody might get hurt, then if you can move it indirectly, it's better, but if not, you can move it directly and get it away from anybody hurting themselves. But utensils that are broken and not usable are completely Muktzeh. Now, if there's still it's still usable. Like, to give an example, you had a cutting board, and the cutting board cracks in half, so it broke. But you can still use it for a little cutting board. You can still use it; it's still usable. So then that wouldn't be Muktzeh. But if it broke in such a way that it cracked all over the place and you're not going to be able to use it anymore, then it's completely Muktzeh and you can't move it for any reason whatsoever. Now, for instance, what happens if you have, let's say, a garment that ripped, okay, and you can't wear it anymore, but you can still use it for, as they call it, a shmata, a rag, a dust cloth. So then, again, they're not Muktzeh because they're still usable for something that you would be allowed to do on Shabbos. So what?
Since destroying things is okay on Shabbos, can you use...
You're not, no, that's not true. Destroying things on Shabbos is not okay. It's rabbinically forbidden. You can't destroy things on Shabbos.
If you want to open up a package... For
food, that's a different story. It's not that... No, destroying things on Shabbos is rabbinically forbidden.
Can you open an Amazon package on Shabbos?
It depends. If
you
it's...
don't need with the content of the package.
Then you're not allowed to.
If you do need the content...
It might be Muktzeh also.
It's not.
You don't know that. Maybe it came from outside the Tchum.
I knew what was in there.
No. Maybe it came from outside the Tchum.
Amazon has a bunch of stations here.
So you can't. You're saying general statements that are not necessarily true. I mean, that's what I'm saying. An Amazon package might be Muktzeh. First of all, the content might be Muktzeh. Even if it's not, the content is it's clothing, let's say, right? So it's not Muktzeh. But if it came from outside the Tchum Shabbos, so then you wouldn't be allowed to use it either. Now, if it was already in the Tchum and Shabbos began, and it's something which is not Muktzeh, but you don't need it for Shabbos, then you're not allowed to rip it. You can't rip it just to see, how it looks. Let's say somebody gives a piece of clothing, you're not going to be wearing it on Shabbos, right? And you just want to open up the package to see, if it's the color is nice, whatever. Then what?
The razors that are meant to open up packages?
No.
Is that what's up?
There's a kelish melachot le'isr.
So for sure you can't use it to do that thing.
No, because nothing to do. If that thing would to take that razor, and to open up a box of matzah, then you would be, if you're destroying the box, then you would be allowed to. But you can't say his statement destroying things in Shabbos is allowed. It's not allowed. Only for food. What?
Would it be a problem also for a Jew that didn't keep Shabbos delivered?
If a Jew that didn't keep, you mean the delivery guy? First of all, you don't have to think that a delivery guy brought it, that was a Jew, especially if the majority, no, I'm saying this halacha, not stam. If the majority of deliverers are goyim, then you can assume it's a goy. Secondly, the goy is not really working for you. The guy that delivers the mail, the guy that delivers for Amazon or Express Mail or UPS or FedEx, whatever, they're not working for you. They're working for the company. There's nothing to do with you. You happen to be one getting it, but they're not working for you. They're not doing it for you. Now there is a halacha question. Can I order something before Shabbos and tell them I want it delivered on Shabbos? That you shouldn't do. But if you tell them whenever you deliver it, and I'll give you a similar example. Somebody just called me about this the other day. I need to fix my car. Okay? So there's a Goyish mechanic. He's not a Jewish mechanic, so, he's not working on Shabbos. And let's say it takes 3 hours to fix my car. I'm not allowed to give it in half an hour before Shabbos and pick it up a half an hour after Shabbos. I'm not telling the guy to do it on Shabbos, but obviously you are. Because it takes 3 hours to fix the car, and you're giving him a half an hour and a half an hour, which is an hour, so obviously he's going to be doing it on Shabbos. But what happens if you give him the car Friday afternoon, okay, and you'll pick it up Sunday morning? Let's say the guy's open on Sunday, whatever. You pick it up Sunday morning, and he has enough time before Shabbos or after Shabbos to fix the car, then it's not an issue. If it would be a Jew, let's say the worker is a Jew or the owner is a Jew, then you wouldn't be allowed to tuck him. So there is a whole shaila, I don't want to get into it now, but can I send express mail Friday, overnight mail? Because basically if I'm doing it overnight, I'm telling him to deliver it on Shabbos, even though they don't anyway. I get overnight letters 4 or 5 days later, overnight. The people sent overnight and paid the big bucks, and you still get it 3-4 days later.
Long night.
It's a long night, yeah. A winter night. But you're not allowed to. So the question is, can I send express mail on Friday that you're going to be delivered on Shabbos? Am I basically telling him to deliver on Shabbos? Huh? It's a Jew, I'm saying. So even if it's a Jew saying it, so in halacha it says like this, it's better not to if you can avoid it, but technically there's nothing wrong with it. Why? Because when you pay for the postage, then Goy's not working for you anymore. You paid the company, so now he's working for the company. He's delivering it to you on Shabbos, he's working for the company, not working for you. It says if you can avoid it, it's better to avoid it. But if you're ordering things on Amazon and they give you different options of day, different day options, when you should not pick Shabbos. If you deliver on Shabbos, they deliver on Shabbos. But then again, you have the question, Muktzeh, all the other various issues about it. What?
What if you were sending a business contract to a non-Jew and they want to receive it on Saturday and you send it Friday morning?
You could send it Friday morning if it's a guy, because then a guy is opening it for himself. You can't send it to a non-religious Jew, though, to sign, because then you're causing a Jew to do something for you on Shabbos. To give an example of that, in fact, somebody called me last week about this. I wasn't here last week, 2 weeks ago. A lot of people have secretaries in the Philippines. Labor there is much cheaper, right? People have secretaries in the Philippines. So, by him it's Friday afternoon. In the Philippines it's already Shabbos. But they're working for him. Right? The goy is working for the Jew. So is the Jew allowed to speak on the phone Friday here with the guy in the Philippines, where over there it's Shabbos already? So the answer is, of course he could. Because the guy, you can't ask a guy to do something because he's your agent. But by you it's not Shabbos yet. So if it's not Shabbos by you yet, there's no problem telling a guy to do something for you. By the guy at Shabbos, there's nothing to do with you. He's not your agent on Shabbos. He's your agent on Friday because he's doing it for you when by you is Friday. And the same thing, can I send an email Friday afternoon to a Jew in Israel who's not religious? So over there, you're not allowed to talk because the Jew who's not religious is going to open up the email on Shabbos and desecrate Shabbos. But can you send it to a non-Jew in Israel or wherever, another country? Yeah, that you could do. There's a lot of dinim, but anyway, we went off topic a little bit. Okay, now.
If the guy that is in another country, for him, is Shabbat for us, no? Can he work for us? Can he do technical support for the company?
He could do whatever he wants because by you it's not Shabbos. A guy cannot work for you on Shabbos. And Shabbos means when by you it's Shabbos. Now when by the guy it's Shabbos. So if for you it's not Shabbos, I mean technically the reverse wouldn't be, he couldn't do it, but let's say hypothetically, a Jew on Shabbos cannot tell a guy in the Philippines where it's Sunday to do something for him, even though by the guy it's not Shabbos, but the Jew is Shabbos.
Yeah.
See, there's a whole shaila, in fact, in halacha about stockbrokers placing trades. I mean, Shabbos, anyway, the market is closed. But I'm saying, let's say you have Yom Tov coming up, yeah? Rosh Hashanah, it's all Yom Tov, Tuesday and Wednesdays, right? So what happens if I tell a broker that if the stock hits a certain price, when the stock hits a certain price, sell it. Okay? And then, on the first or second day of Rosh Hashanah, it hits that price. The stockbroker is a guy, let's say. So technically, it's not a problem. Because you're not telling him to sell it on Shabbos. You tell him when it hits a certain rate. You don't care when it is. It could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What do you care? It's not your problem. So it would also be allowed.
So,
What?
could Goyim, like, leading on the question that he said, could you have, let's say you have a company and there's tech support in the Philippines, right?
The what?
You have a company and
Tech support in Philippines, yeah.
let's say somebody calls in on Shabbos to the tech support guy in the Philippines, Shabbos by you, he's the goes a lot to answer call and take care of the customer, right? Who's
Yeah.
calling in the tech support? 'Cause he's the himself.
No, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
Because then the guy is doing a transaction for you when by you at Shabbos.
So you have to actually tell them to stop.
You have to tell him not to place the trade or the deal, whatever, until after Shabbos.
So you have to shut down your tech support lines for Shabbos.
You know, the big Reichman family in their heyday, when they had their empire, every place where they had business was closed on Shabbos. Around the world this is. To their credit. Huh? No. In any place where Shabbos there, they had the business closed. And it was an empire, it was big. You're talking about the Reichmans, I mean, you know, they're out of business already long. It's not new. They don't need Tomchei Shabbos. But, yeah. Okay, so again, ripped clothing, if it's still, let's say a piece of clothing rips, yeah, and you can't wear it anymore. As long as the material is, let's say, 11 inches by 11 inches, which is apidin gimel tvachim and gimel tvachim, it's still considered a garment, so then that wouldn't be muktzeh. If it would be smaller than that, let's say a small piece rips off from a garment. A small piece rips off from a garment, less than 11 inches by 11 inches, that garment, that piece is completely muktzeh, because it's not usable for anything. Now, what happens is another interesting thing. A guy throws a broken utensil into the garbage before Shabbos. It's still usable for, the smaller things, but he threw it in the garbage before Shabbos. Then on Shabbos, let's say you get a cutting board, okay? So a cutting board broken in half, you could still use it technically as a cutting board for smaller things, but he threw it into the garbage before Shabbos. Once he threw it into the garbage before Shabbos, on Shabbos he cannot take it out. Even though it's usable, the fact that it broke and he threw it out into the garbage before Shabbos shows that he doesn't want it. If he by mistake threw out a complete utensil, A guy had a cup. I'm not going to use it anymore. He throws it out. Nothing broke. It's just he's not using it, or a disposable thing, let's say. Then he threw it out before Shabbos. And then on Shabbos he realizes, I could still use it. Then you would be allowed to take it out of the garbage because it's still a keli. The fact that he threw it out, but if it's broken and he threw it out, that means he's totally removed his mind from it. He's not planning to use it at all. So that's that aspect of it. Okay. Unbroken utensils, he says, does become muktzeh. Oh, by the way, what happens though, if a vessel broke, a guy threw it out into the garbage on Shabbos, not before Shabbos. The cutting board broke on Shabbos, and now he threw it out on Shabbos, and then he decided,
He wants it.
no, I want it. So because he threw it out on Shabbos, he could take it out on Shabbos. But if he threw it out before Shabbos, then when Shabbos began, that's the concept. When Shabbos began, he had no intention of taking it out. Then once it became muktzeh, when Shabbos began, it remains muktzeh regardless. But if it became muktzeh on Shabbos, and you're unmuktzing it in Shabbos, so to speak, so then it's not a problem, you could do it. What? It's a very simple logic. Why is it? Because when you throw it out before Shabbos, it's broken. You throw it before Shabbos. When Shabbos entered, you did not have in mind to take it out. So when Shabbos began, it's muktzeh. Once it's muktzeh, when Shabbos begins, it automatically remains muktzeh for the entire Shabbos. If it broke on Shabbos, so it became muktzeh on Shabbos. So when Shabbos began, it wasn't muktzeh. Now it became muktzeh, so you threw it out. Half an hour later, you take it out. So it's not.
Why don't you say it's like any other half keli that's usable, so therefore it gives it its...
No, because the fact that it broke and he threw it out shows he's not going to use it for what it could be used.
Give it a nullified...
Right. Machashin is my summer mechem, Kim Shivala, Gal, Taylor, Hanagashi, Mate, Lots of the Bochas, Dax, Self, Figure,